vacation to Sri Lanka starts from rupees 24,999 only with GT Holidays, South India's #1 travel brand.
Hello and welcome to Galatta Plus. In this episode of Q&A, we're going to be talking about GOAT or The Greatest of All Time, directed by Venkat Prabhu and starring Vijay. The first question comes from Shiva Surya, who asks, in the Bigil review, you mentioned that Vijay's best co-star may be Vijay himself, highlighting the chemistry between the characters. What were your thoughts on his double role in this movie? Personally, Mohan as a villain did not work for me, but it was interesting to see Vijay going up against a younger version of himself. Yeah, I still think that when you have a star like Vijay, the chemistry between this Vijay and the second Vijay is always going to be better than the chemistry with anybody else, simply because the other roles are not going to be written well enough usually, and this Vijay would be built up so much that all the meat is concentrated around either one Vijay or both Vijays, right? That's what all the lines are, all the good scenes are, all the like for example that scene with the mosque, for instance, where both the Vijays are at the same person and they hear the call from the mosque and therefore he realizes that he is nearby somewhere. All those scenes, or even the scene where one Vijay is talking to another in interrogation, all these things. There's like, if you look at the heroine in this movie, for instance, she's barely there. So yeah, I think it's inevitable that when you have a big star, their best co-star is going to be themselves. And why, we'll get to the writing bit, because there are many people who ask about the writing also later. Venkat Raghavan asks, with directors particular on writing their own films, the prestigious story, screenplay, dialogues, direction era of the past to the current era of written and directed by TAG, wouldn't it be an endless cycle of these filmmakers choosing to stay within their own bubbles surrounded by yes men? So you can look at this two ways, right? One is for a regular movie and one is for a big star movie. For a regular movie, I agree somewhat, because even when a director wants all those credits, right, story, screenplay, dialogue, direction, they're usually discussing with other people, their ADs maybe, or some other people, or there are co-writers or whatever it is. So it's become a little better today, because for example, when MGR was making his movies, with Satya Movies, the credit for story sometimes used to be given to Satya Movies Kadai Ilaka. So that means that there was like a whole bunch of people employed by Satya Movies to just do brainstorming for the writing alone, and they would come up with the stuff. But the big star movie is a little different, because whether you're writing as a team or whether you're writing alone, you are bound by all these things that you have to do. You have to do fan service, you have to do winking at the audience, you have to reference older movies of this star, you have to reference maybe older songs of the star. Now, this is not exactly new, because MGR did it. If you've seen the Shivaji Ganeshan movie called Vietnam Video, towards the end of that movie, when some tragedy happens, there is a callback to a song from an entirely different film, which is this Veedu Vare Uravu, very famous song of Kannadasan, which is not even, but it fits the situation. So these kind of callbacks and all these things, they are not new. But now they've become the whole movie. That is what I think is, I would say, the problem. Maybe others are going to say it's the fun element of it, because see, the thing is, for me, callbacks are fun provided they exist at a certain level, right? It's like to a certain level. If there are too many callbacks, for example, one callback I really loved here was, I didn't know Trisha was there. So when that song happened, Matta happened, and she just danced into the screen, I had this huge theater moment, right? Because I didn't expect this callback, and when they started doing those gilly steps, that callback was like really good. But the other callbacks, like, even though technically they use that I am waiting at a nice part for the junior Vijay, I'm like, dude, you're using that I am waiting for every single movie. Lokesh used it and Master. Everybody's trying to use variations. So after some point, that whole movie becomes, I need to use this line. How do I get a scene that uses this line? I need to use that line. How do I use it? How do I write a scene that gets to that line? And that is a problem with the screenplay writing in many of these films, because you're kind of trying to get to these lines and callbacks rather than writing an organic screenplay. So that becomes the problem, I felt. But all that said, I thought what Venkat Prabhu managed here and his team of writers managed here is to have a very clean screenplay. It's like the high is not there. It's not a great movie. It's not a bad movie. It's a very clean screenplay for me, where everything neatly tumbles into one another. So I think that way they've really succeeded, where many other Vijay movies have failed. For example, in Varisya, there are so many generic things happening, and the screenplay is so, like, I don't know, it's just like it's not clean. Here it is clean. That's I think the most you can expect right now. Kumar says, sir, should a film always have a proper plot and all the grammars as cinema holds? With the announcement of penultimate movie, can't we just enjoy for the actor himself? Should every movie cater a proper story writing? Kumar, you are probably the ideal watcher of this movie. You are saying, I don't want a story, I don't want anything, I just want, like, I'm a Vijay fan, I just want to see my Vijay on screen, and I'm getting 2 Vijays for the price of 1, or if you include the youngest Vijay, there's the 3 Vijays for the price of 1. So why not enjoy the movie? Fine. I mean, see, the point is that each one of us comes with different expectations for a movie. When I say expectation, I don't mean the movie should be this way, but expectations of cinema itself. When we say masala cinema, it doesn't mean, I don't like that phrase, leave your brains at the door, because maybe that's the way you watch it, but that's not the way you write it, right? Because writing means you're still delivering an experience that holds the audience. And sometimes here you feel that the big budget that they mentioned is not seen as much as it should be seen on a big screen. And those are the things that I think people are picking up on, not necessarily that if you want to just do fan worship, I think that's fine. I don't think anybody really think, because that's what Venkat Prabhu has also been saying in the movies, which is like, this is a celebration of Vijay, this is a celebration of Vijay, and that the movie certainly is. So if that is enough for you, then I think that's good. GTSR asks, can we ever see our big stars in Kadalaka Maryade, Vali Aase kind of simple, light-hearted, romantic movies of the 90s? No, because those are the movies that stars used to build their careers. You cannot have them after they become stars, right? Because if you look, there's a great classic example see, there are only 2 exceptions to this rule. One is Shivaji Ganesan and one is Kamal Haasan, because both of them became stars and also positioned themselves very carefully as actors, doing films that they knew may or may not work, because the actor stuff was there, like a Guna, for instance, or with Shivaji, many films you can name for Shivaji, where they made films because they wanted to showcase, do something different from their thing. So they became stars, and people would go to their movies and say, okay, what is the new thing I'm going to see in their movies, right? Whereas with these 2 exceptions in generally in Indian cinema, most of the others, if you look at MGR, if you look at Vijay, if you look at Ajit, they used other kinds of movies to build up their their stardom. But once they became the star, once that image is identified with the public, with them, that's it. They don't take too many risks. They can have a narrow range. That's it. They cannot go too much and say, I'm going to play a Kadalaka Maryade where it's just going to be the fighting is going to be emotional violence, which is about like drama and things like that. That cannot be the whole movie, because today's fans, also you must remember one thing, when those movies released, there was a larger family audience going to the movies because ticket prices were not so high, and also, like, the serials, the OTT, all the stuff was not there. You could not see YouTube things. Now theaters have come to realize that the only consistent audience is that very young group of some 18 to 25 or 26 or something like that, some quadrant that they named. And these guys, they only want the fan experience. They don't want to sit through long scenes of drama, crying, this, that, all these things. With Wali, that one thing, that villainous element maybe maybe taken out, and that's why you get a Maungata. So same thing like with Vijay, you're getting a villainous Vijay in this movie, where you're also having like a good Vijay, bad Vijay, that kind of stuff. But otherwise, you cannot go back to the pace of those movies or to the drama of those movies, because nobody wants to see heroes. They prefer cheating hero, like somebody who steals, somebody who does all these things, all that they can accept. Somebody even kills, but somebody who's lusting after somebody else's wife, that kind of stuff and all is like forbidden for a hero. So they will never get into that zone again. So all we can do is go back and watch those earlier films, I guess. Ravindra Kenchappa asks a similar question. Have movies come to a place where cameos are given more emphasis in an era of reels trending to work only on Instagram, or will we see more focus on screenplays? See, again, that's what I'm expecting. See, when I think Jailer is a very crucial movie in this regard, okay, because it completely broke all the rules of screenplay writing and said, I'm just going to have a series of big moments. Usually when there is such a big thing like Rajani, the father killing the son and all at the end, if you look at the other, like Indian or something like that, that the son's thing would have been built right in parallel. That son's behavior would have been built right in parallel, so that you get that logic of the father wanting to, kill the son. But in Jailer, it just was completely random. In the second half, it happened like a twist. So people want that twist, that high moment. They're saying, I don't want the lead up to that. I don't want the follow up to that. Just give me that one single moment alone. Cut all the flab. Give me the meat. Just the meat I want. So when you have that, the traditional screenplay rules are not going to apply. The only rules that are going to apply are TikTok video rules, Shorts video rules, Reels video rules, because now most of the movie is already on YouTube. Any movie is already on YouTube, because every time a high moment comes, people take their smartphones and record it and put it out there. So when I'm saying I didn't expect like a Trisha cameo, I didn't expect a Sivakarthikeyan cameo, all these things, people now who are going for the second show or third show and who are on Twitter all the time, they already know all these things and they're going. So the theater moment that was there for me, I don't know if they had it because they already knew all these things. But that is what film has become, the big star film. That is a series of high moments, which is probably why, I mean, there was a rumor that Rajnikant was asked to do Kadesi Vivasai, and I don't think he would have done it at all, simply because yes, it would challenge him as an actor, but then he's too big. The money on that is riding on his shoulders is too big. But I've always wondered this, why can't actors do this thing where they do this big mass film and then they do one film for a very low budget, cutting their price, do one I don't know, for the lack of a better word, let's call it a class film. Like you said, Kadalika Maryada, the earlier person said whatever. Why can't they try that? So that, okay, only a small portion is going to go, but at least your recovery is safe, and it'll go to OTT and do well and all that. But I don't know why they don't do that, because I think every movie needs to be a big event. PS asks, should directors completely stop thinking about fans before setting out to make a film? Most directors try and find a balance between creating their film and satisfying the fans, but often end up making films that are neither true to their vision nor completely satisfying to their fans. But I'm asking, how do you know this? Because how do you know that this is not the true vision? Because the bigger the money on a film, the more you have to cater to fans, right? The bigger the money on a film, see, with the exception of Rajamouli movies, which are like when Bahubali comes out or whatever it is, he is able to maintain like even though it's a very very big budget movie, he's able to stay true to the story. Another example would be similarly in that same historical / mythological zone, like fiction, Ponniyin Selvan, because the story is based on something else, so they only have to deal with the fans of the story, not the stars. So, and all the stars are actor stars. So so even if they get angry with the makers, they'll be like, how dare you change Kalki's words or something like that. But they will not, the fans will not be disappointed with the actors themselves. Whereas when you come to these mega stars, the fan worship has to be built into that star, because like I said, that age group that is consuming these films is very small. But there's a very strange thing that, even though theaters say that, when a good movie releases, when I say good movie, I mean a movie that caters to older audiences, everybody chooses to watch it on OTT. But when a GOAT releases, everybody chooses to go and watch it on a theater and then complain about it. I'm like, why? You know that this is the genre of the movie. That, in fact, they have to invent a new genre called fan service movie or something like that. That's what the movie is going to be, along with the regular plot. It's a thriller or whatever it is. So why go and be disappointed if this is not what you're expecting? I think that's something that we all have to think about, because I'm not saying therefore keep your expectations low, but I'm saying this is what the model is going to be. So complaining about these things, I don't think is of any use, because that is how it is going to be. Jitan says, could the movie have been better if the team had avoided de-aging technology and focused more on other technical aspects like VFX and fight sequences? I think, for a change, usually even before I saw the movie, this is what I thought. I said, why de-aging? We are used to somebody wearing a white wig and, being a older man, and somebody wearing being regular and being a younger person, just dressed in different clothes. So why do this de-aging? But in this particular thing, it makes a big difference, because you really see Vijay as a younger person, and you're getting that father-son dynamic, which is also the dynamic of enemies, right? Like he's trying to get his revenge. So I think somehow I'm able to see why that de-aging is needed here, because Bigil, for instance, the older Vijay dies soon enough. So there are just a few scenes with both the Vijays together. But here it's like the full on treatments. Both the Vijays travel almost fully throughout the movie, so I don't think they could have faked it, without the de-aging. But that said, I agree. Why not better VFX? Why not better? Why isn't this a better looking, better, like, why doesn't it look better on the big screen? The production values, why don't they show? That's a question again for another day. Oh, and about the fight sequences, I completely agree. I don't know why we insist on making movies like this if our fight masters or stunt masters are going to give the same kinds of fights, which are like the usual gunfights, the usual bike fights. There's no thrill, there's no excitement, because you're saying that I'm making a Mission Impossible kind of movie or a James Bond kind of movie, but the fights are so ordinary. I mean, yeah, we are used to it and they go by, but it's like there's nothing special, and there's no use of props in the fights. There's no, like, it's just very, very very ordinary stuff. And yeah, that's the thing I've never been able to figure out in these movies. I spoke to a stunt master once, and they said that part of the problem is because they don't allot enough days for shooting fight scenes, and they have to make do with 2 or 3 days. What should actually take a week. There are other people who've said that it's also because actors don't like to rehearse for fight scenes, so they come in, they want to do minimal stuff and then leave. I don't know whether this is true or not, but end of the day, I think very, very few Indian movies have good fight scenes, and I think, yeah, it's very sad. Kamlan Muniswamy asks, what are your thoughts on the passing of scenes with SK as if like passing of the baton? If so, will it work, or does it need to be more organic to create a superstar? See, nobody can become a superstar because they had one cameo in one movie where apparently Vijay is handing over the baton, and Sivakarthikeyan says, well, you go take care of your work, I'll take care of this. So saying that you go to politics and I'll fill your space or whatever. I have a feeling there's a bit of a joke there also, because I love that cameo, by the way. This is that one cameo that really, really worked for me, was that. But you can't make a star like that. It depends on the movies. See, this is not about whether you like Vijay or whether you like Ajit or whether you like Rajni or whether you like Kamal, whatever. All these people have put in years and years and years and years of work. And like if you look at Vijay, you're talking about from Ajit Vijay from the 90s. When you're talking about Rajni Kamal from the 70s, this is a long time that they've associated themselves with the audience. So that ownership that the audience has with these people, that has to be earned some more. It's like, and now see, another thing is, when all these people are making movies, whether it's Kamal or Rajni or Shivaji or MGR or Vijay or Ajit, they were making multiple movies a year. So maybe some would become a hit, some would become flops, whatever it is, but the movies kept on coming. And you ask people, the movie that you don't like, that other person will like, the movie that you like, that other person won't like. So there's always that circulation of things going on. And remember, when multiple movies come out, even if the entire movie doesn't work, at least there'll be 5 or 6 moments that become like passed into pop culture. For example, there may be a song, there may be like a joke, there may be like one of those lines that become immortal, whatever it is. The point is that the more the movies, the more these things go and become part of pop culture. Now, with people reducing the number of movies that they're doing and working on very, very specific and very focused projects, it's going to take a long time to occupy the kind of space that Ajit and Vijay and before them all these other people occupied. Whether Sivakarthikeyan can do that, of course he's capable, he can do it, and he's been trying his word. And one of the things I like about Sivakarthikeyan a lot is that he chooses very interesting films within the mainstream space. I mean, almost all of them seem to be some conceptually different and conceptually interesting films. Whether the films finally work or not is a different thing, but at least like hearing about it, you're like, okay, there's something's different, right? But to get to that space, he has to make more films. And that's when you kind of really do. And that's the thing today, that everybody works on one film at a time and finishes that film, and that takes almost a year. So you get maximum 1 or 2 films of an actor per year. Beyond that, nothing happens. So they're not passing on enough information into pop culture that will make them stand in people's minds for a longer time. Now, unless this changes, I don't see those kinds of mega stars being recreated again. Waden Wilsami says, I have the feeling VP originally had the clone to be part of the core plot and they decided to skip it to make the plot simple. Did you feel the same? Haha, I had the same question, because suddenly it pops out of nowhere, and there's a genre shift that is so like, whoa, where did that come from, right? But I have a feeling maybe VP thought of it even before. Like that was the thing that he wanted to do. Telpatri Singh asks, the effect of PR and social media promotion often reflects on box office performance. You promote more, you make more money. Nowadays, I feel it reflects on how a movie is critically received. I feel a great movie with the poor PR strategy is received as a bad movie. Thoughts? I don't know. I think there are still critically, some people who watch who are not swayed by all this PR noise, because PR noise happens for everything, right? I think that still happens. I think there are still people out there. I'm not talking just about critics, but even regular people who are the general audience who kind of see the movie and accept it for what it is rather than what the PR thing. So I don't think it's necessary that if you that the critical reception of a movie is going to reflect the PR or the hype around it. One thing is, people often ask me this strange question. It's like in case, I'm not talking about GOAT, but in case there's a heavily hyped movie and I say, like something that it didn't work for me, they say, aren't you afraid of giving that review? And I'm thinking, it's just a movie. Why should like you be afraid? I mean, afraid is such a big term, right? But then I'm thinking, and when I'm talking to them, I'm understanding that they are under pressure to conform to the public idea of that movie being good or bad. And I think that's why this question comes sometimes. It's like, aren't you afraid, or whatever it is? Because I think with big movies, I think the pressure to kind of live up to that hype sometimes reflects in the reception as well. Somebody asks, I saw your review. You mentioned the shot you put in this should not have been posted before release. But in my view, it played a crucial part in the audience's mind, and none of us would have thought the villain was Ele Talapati until the metro scene. Your opinion? I agree. I see, when I saw it, that was such a big theater moment that I thought that, wow, I wish I hadn't been exposed to it before, because not only in the trailer, it's also there in all the posters as well. So I was like, I wish, because the minute he picks up the bike, you know that shot's going to come like 1 minute away, right? But I agree with you here. I didn't think of it from this viewpoint. This is a good point. So because we've seen that shot, none of us would have guessed that this guy is the villain. We'll think it's the father and the son or whatever it is fighting together. So actually, it's a clever thing. So yeah. So thanks for making me look at this in a different way. But I still wish I'd had a better theater moment. But I see what you're saying as well. Prem Sai says, apart from VFX errors, did the movie work out in commercial aspects? Yes, for him. And I felt rather than the spark song, they could have shown scenes which makes their love stronger, so it could be emotional connect in the Srinidhi incident. I completely agree. In fact, I have a theory that release all the songs, music videos as YouTube videos, because that's where they're going to end up finally after the movie's release. Don't include any of the songs in the movies. Just have the clean movie right there, because people have already seen the songs. So they'll remember that, and that will be extra information that they will feed into the movie while they're watching the movie. So the movie now doesn't have the pressure to incorporate songs at various places. Is this sounding crazy? But I don't know. I sometimes feel that way, because you're having a song for the sake of having the song. For me, more than Spark, which is because the heroine was very like badly written, or maybe they wrote more and called it off. I did not like that family song at that place, because it's a very big moment. The son coming back to the family is the very, very big moment at that point. And to brush it away as just an emotion reaction from Sneha and all that, that should have been a gut-wrenching scene. And if that scene had been gut-wrenching and not just brushed away in a song, then it's be like because a mother has been without a son for, I don't know, like 15 years or something like that, 20 years. The parents have separated because of this. So when you're bringing back the son to kind of generally have it a cute thing, like one Vijay is here and the second Vijay is speaking out, so she knows that it's actually the son or something like that, it feels very light. That whole moment became light. Again, you can argue and say, why should this be heavy? We want to come here, we already know this is what's going to happen. Let's just have a light, easy, entertaining movie. And for those people, this probably works. But for me, it didn't work, because that moment was a very crucial moment. And for me, I'm a little old fashioned that way, because I want big moments to have the big treatment that they deserve and not just be brushed away in a song. But then, yeah. And finally, we come to Surya Narayanan, who says, I'm trying to understand how a superstar movie should be consumed. Should people accept it no matter how worse it is just for a few mass scenes, Easter eggs, surprises, or should people still expect good writing and screenplay even from a superstar? You know, this is the $1,000,000 question. How should you consume a superstar movie? I don't know. Because you know, when I'm saying things like screenplay, organic, not this thing, generic, all these things, one part of my brain is also saying, but why are you expecting all these things? You know that it's not going to be that, right? But another part of me is saying, when the Mission Impossible films and the James Bond movies are still working so hard on the screenplay and the fights and the all those stuff except the songs, why can't we do the same thing? Because after all, those movies are getting dubbed in Tamil and Hindi and Gujarati and Telugu, whatever it is, and all our local people are enjoying those movies. They become mega hits. So is it so wrong to assume that that sensibility of screenplay will be consumed here also? I don't know, but that's $1,000,000 question. And with that, I end this episode of Q&A. Thank you so much for watching, and keep watching Galatta Plus. See you soon at the movies.
Hola! Your dream vacation to Sri Lanka starts from rupees 24,999 only with GT Holidays, South India's #1 travel brand.